years ago, I
Mm,
was terrified of food.
gosh.
I was terrified of social occasions that had food, or anything that involved eating, going home for Christmas, going to friends' houses, going out to a restaurant. It just created so much anxiety and fear in me.
Today's guest is my amazing, fabulous friend, Julie Kerr. Over 30 years ago, Julie self-recovered from a 15-year-old battle with bulimia. For the past 10 years, her powerful perspective on recovery and unique blend of mentoring and coaching has supported countless women from around the globe successfully break free from bulimia and stay free from bulimia, regardless of how long they have struggled to recover in the past. Welcome, Julie.
Hi, Anita, and thank you for having me here. And hello to all your listeners.
It's a pleasure. What is one of the most courageous things you've done? Now, I know you've done several hundred probably.
Not that many.
But can you choose one of them?
Well, as I'm here today, and I think the most courage, the one that involved the most courage, the most persistent courage, was recovering from my eating disorder.
Okay.
All those years ago, and I can't say I'm staying recovered, because when you're recovered, you're recovered. I don't have to do anything anymore. I mean, years ago, I was terrified of food.
Gosh.
I was terrified of social occasions that had food, or anything that involved eating, going home for Christmas, going to friends' houses, going out to a restaurant. It just created so much anxiety and fear in me, because I was terrified of eating, because it seemed to me that once I started, I couldn't stop.
Oh, wow. Because I can't imagine.
And that made things quite difficult, as you can imagine, because I
Definitely.
also, obviously I threw the food up if I considered that I'd eaten too much. And going out was a problem, because I really wanted to do that and throwing up at home, because I was terrified also of being found out, of getting caught, because of what it could do to my career as a model. So for I think I was modeling for like 15, 16 years. And most of that time I had either anorexia or bulimia, and both involved throwing up. And yeah, I just couldn't imagine what that would do to my career if anyone found out. Yeah. So this was in the 80s. And also, I didn't actually know I'd had an eating disorder. I was just doing this thing that I called it, and it would come along with me and suddenly show up. But sometimes I could be, eat food nicely and be good. And other times, I don't know, I just got possessed. And I'd find myself eating more than I wanted. Actually, it was probably a normal portion, I see now, but back in the day, it was too much. And, my strategy was to try not to eat, basically, because once I started, I couldn't stop. What should have been really some of the most exciting times of my life. There was I from this little, not so little town in the middle of England, living the dream, really, flying from London and Paris and to Germany and Italy and Japan, and it was really amazing, and I met some amazing people. Unfortunately, a lot of it is just a blur, because I was in such a war with myself. On the outside, it looked like I'd got it all. People thought I was living this most amazing, exciting and glamorous life. And I was, to a degree. But it was completely blighted by this eating disorder, this thing that I had that seemed to come and take over me. Yeah. And have me do what I didn't want to do. But I also recognized that I was also scared of giving it up, because I thought at the time it enabled me to keep my weight down.
Okay.
And I also could eat what I wanted. On a restricted diet, and I'm sure every single dieter knows this, when you start dieting, the things that you want, the things that you can't eat, you really, 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 really want.
Right.
And so there was lots of foods I really, really wanted because my diet had got so limited. I had all these safe foods that I knew I could kind of eat, but then there's other food that I couldn't. And those foods were the foods that I used to go for, 'cause that's what I really wanted. But I could throw them up. So that kind of created this cycle. And to start with, I thought it was brilliant. I've got this secret that I thought was good. Because I thought it helped with maintain my weight whilst allowing myself to eat what I wanted, except it got out of control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, like you say, you've got a glamorous life and, whizzing off to here, there and everywhere, being a model. And yet you had this bulimia eating disorder going on. I mean, like you said, you never knew when it was going to show up.
Yeah, and that was quite scary.
Mm-hmm.
1 minute I could seem fine, and it was great when I was actually working. That wasn't so bad because I could eat very little at work, and I could negotiate I could feel it coming on, and I was like, well, when I leave, I can go and get some food and do it. But right now, we've just got to stay focused, do your job, put on your smile, get on with it. And then people might be going, oh, Julie, we're going to go out tonight. We're going to go to, I can't remember, the great nightclubs of the day, like Tramp and Annabelle's in London. And I can't remember the ones, Castel in Paris. And I can't remember where in Tokyo. But yeah, people, we lived a fun, fabulous lifestyle. But I'd go, oh, no, I can't go out tonight because I'm seeing blah, blah, blah. Well, I wasn't really seeing blah, blah, blah. I was going home to eat and throw it up because by then I really wanted to do it. And then the next morning someone might go, hey, did you have a nice evening last night? And I'd go, oh yes, it was great. Yeah, I had a really kind time. Where did you go? Oh, the lies would just roll off my tongue as I kind of covered up what I was doing. The courageous thing was to start eating, in a normal way, to start actually incorporating the foods into my diet and start having a balanced plate of food.
Yes.
And eating, more regularly and reliably, consistently over time. And the weird thing is, I didn't know I had an eating disorder at the time because it was just, if you look in the dictionaries of the day, there is no such thing as bulimia, binging and purging for the time. There was anorexia, but that was just more about restricting your food and your sort of classic anorexic, very slim, very skeletal structure. That wasn't actually me. I was very thin, but I hadn't got that far, thank God. Otherwise I might have been dead. But yeah. The idea, so I didn't know what it was. There was no internet, no Google to go and consult, and no one was really talking about it. The only person I knew was Karen Carpenter, which I found out on the TV station of the day, which was limited, not like now with all the streaming and all the news 24/7. So, and apparently she'd starved herself to death, but I wasn't doing that. I was seemingly doing the opposite. Eating way too much and then throwing it up. So that wasn't me. And so I didn't know. And also I wanted to keep it quiet, so I didn't tell anybody.
Yes.
And then as it came into my life, was in my life, it went out of my life.
Ooh.
And one day I was like, wow, I haven't done it for ages. Oh my God. Where's it gone? How amazing.
Fantastic.
And I was so excited. I just got on with my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you know, one of those weekends that we were doing our coaching training on, and I was sitting next to a psychotherapist or something, and I mentioned to her, so now when years are on, so I'd lived this life completely free of any eating disorder, worries about my body, and I hadn't got fat, which, was a big fear that I had at the time, that if I ate more, I was going to get fat. But somehow I've found this strength within me to just keep plodding on. Anyway, I said to this psychotherapist, oh yeah, I used to have an eating disorder. And she says, oh, well, you never get over that, which, by the way, is still a very common story and totally not true. She goes, you never get over that. And I was like, but I haven't had a problem for like 15, 16. I mean, I don't know, because I don't actually remember the last time I threw up, but it was definitely like when I was around about 30 something, and I'm now 60 something. So it was a long time ago.
Looking good.
Thank you. And so she said to me, no. I said, I don't have a problem. She said, no, you'll always have that voice in your head. And I was like, I know that voice in my head. I don't have that one. I do have a voice in my head, yeah, but I don't have the eating disorder voice. So she said to me, well, how did you do it? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I really don't know. And I hate looking stupid. So I got home that night and I put in bulimia into the search engine for the first time, because I never had to look before. And I was like, oh my God, I saw all this stuff. And yeah, it did say that it's something you never recover from. And actually only yesterday I was talking to a new client, and she said to me that she'd been told by someone she knew that it's something you're going to have to learn to manage. This was
that's
just
the concept.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, it's not true. I mean, I'm not special, I'm not Einstein. It's normal to eat normally. It's normal to have a good relationship with food. When you have that, your body takes good care of you, and you get your, your kind of happy weight where you're happy and slim, and, things work well. Like, don't have the terrible stomach ache and things like digestive issues, let's say, that I used to suffer from.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Anyway, here I am looking online at all this stuff. God. And there's so many causes. And I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Then I thought, actually, what's the interesting question was that lady asked me was, how did I recover?
Yes.
So I took all our training, and then I go back down my timeline, and then I find, these sort of, what they call like turning points or something, moments when things have happened.
Yeah, epiphany moments.
Then, I definitely had one of those when, just a casual conversation with a girl in the gym, actually, one day. Because if I wasn't working, modeling, I was in the gym, either burning calories to get credit or burning off what I thought I needed to burn off. And there was this girl in the gym, and she had this like really neat little body. And I was like, wow, I wonder what she eats, wonder what she does actually, wonder what she eats to look like that. Yes. So I asked her in my somewhat pigeon French, plucked up the courage, went and asked her. And she said that she ate 3 times a day and often had some snacks. And I was like, sure, yeah, I get it. A little biscuit at breakfast, a little yogurt, a little, I don't know, salad at lunch, something like this. No. She was eating breakfast, good breakfast, good lunch and dinner, and she had chips. I was like, oh my God, she's eating chips. I was horrified. and I'm listening to her, and I'm like counting up all the calories, and I'm like, oh my God, she almost eats in a day what I try and eat in a week.
Gosh.
And
that's like something.
And I was like fascinated, because I was trying to actually eat quite little, to be honest. I was fascinated by this idea. And then she said, well, I used to be an amateur bodybuilder. Okay. But I've stopped doing that a couple of years back, because I didn't like the RIT looks that you had to achieve to go into the competitions. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's really brave of you to give up something you love because of, not liking the look, because what am I doing? What am I doing to myself with what I'm doing? And I had thought about that. I mean, I really tried to scare myself about what I was doing. I imagined the sort of headlines of the news, model found dead in apartment surrounded by vomit,
Oh gosh, Julie.
But no, that didn't work. Nothing I did seem to work. Absolutely nothing. I just couldn't seem to stop. Anyway, listening to her, I've got these little questions going, this little conversation going on in my mind. And then I said, oh yeah, I don't like that ripped look either. It's really ugly. And she said, Julie, they'd think you look ugly being so thin. I was like, that's a bit much. I'm a model, don't you know? And I had posters up on the underground, on the street. I was on the TV as well in a commercial. How dare she say that? But this little voice said, Julie, you're not looking so good. My hair was getting a bit thin, my skin had gone a bit yellow, and even my agent said, Julie, stop wearing that yellow foundation, can you? And I hadn't got anything on.
Oh my goodness.
And I was thinking, oh yeah, and then I'm like, well, I don't want to look like them, and perhaps I shouldn't want him to be looking like me, but I wanted Celile, she was called Celile. She had great posture, from her training, physical training, her bodybuilding. But she wasn't, she wasn't muscly. She was lean and really good. But she had this energy, and I recognised I used to have that energy, and I wanted it back. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And there she was. And I thought, yeah, you know what? I can do that. I was like, who said that? It was like, I can do that. I did. It was like, download or something. I don't really know. And you know what? I left the gym. I came in one person and I went out another person.
Excellent.
And
absolutely wonderful.
It was like amazing, but it wasn't an overnight kind of change, because I'm like really excited about the morning, because Julie's going to have breakfast, right? And I wake up, like, breakfast. And I'm like, I don't think so. Because you know what? I'm not hungry this morning.
Okay.
And so it began my kind of what I now know as recovery. But, I never gave up on that vision, that feeling of that moment of being free from it, of, I don't know, for some reason I imagine lemons and limes and like dew on the grass and freshness and, cleanliness, because my stomach was always like gripping and griping and bloating and whatevering. And I just wanted to feel like, I don't know, clean and fresh and alive, and this thing didn't leave my mind, and I just, kept going on. And for a time, every meal was a struggle, and no one knew no one knew what I was trying to do. I couldn't tell anybody, because I just had to sort it out myself. My weight went up and down a bit, and got measured by my agent and told to lose weight. And I thought, no, I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it I'm not doing that. I'm not doing what I did before.
Good,
because I don't want that anymore. I don't want that for myself. And then there was, obviously there were lots of other kind of mental tweaking things I did, which I didn't realize I did at the time, but it just goes to show what power we have within us when we make up our mind to do something.
Gosh, definitely.
There is power in there within us. There is resourcefulness. People with eating disorders are incredibly creative already. The lies I used to come up with to do the behavior, to hide the behavior, I was just one big lying person. I used to go to bed in tears at night, crying because I couldn't stand who I'd become. And terrified that people, somehow I'd given myself away. And actually, maybe the tears were more about that, the fear of being found out. I don't know. But I hated myself. And I got to a point where, after I'd thrown up, I used to thump my face in the mirror because I was so angry with myself. It was just horrible. But then, then that day came and I was free. So there I am after doing our coaching training, right? And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I could start helping people.
Yes.
Who, like I was, So, I plotted the path and I made a kind of program. And then I thought, right, now I'm going to share this online with people. Yay, good idea, Julie. Well, who am I to do that? I'm not a therapist. I'm just a coach. I'm just this, can't do that. Who do I think I am? So, then more courage had to be brought forth.
Loving it.
The first day, I remember the first person, and I still speak to her, my first client. Years, she's now married. She's also, kept a nice figure, but eats normally, married. Beautiful. She says, her now husband said I saved her life and whatever, which, is fantastic. She's free.
Yeah. Touching.
I remember like so nervous. Oh God, what if I couldn't do it? What if I didn't know what to say? What if? But, obviously I'm so glad I did do it, because now 10 years on, I've helped loads of people. And, the fear's gone, and I could deal with anybody, any state that they're in, our discovery calls that we do with people. Like, you never know who's going to show up, right?
Absolutely.
And how they're going to be. But 10 years has taught me a lot. So I've done lots of, the research around psychology and human behavior and some spiritual work and all sorts of stuff, and so I'm constantly learning and gaining new understanding, because to condense the time that people have to recover in, because recovery doesn't have to take a long time. It's either you never recover, or you've got to manage it, or this, that, or the other, or find some new coping strategy. Like, you can't cope with your life? Of course you can. We're powerful beings. So there's all these stories out there that stop people even starting, in a sense, because if you think you can't do something, like Henry Ford said, you can't. But if you think you can. So you have this story out there that says you can't fully recover, or that you've got to manage it. Now, recovery is challenging and it does demand courage, but it also doesn't require anything that you can't do. But the trouble is, within the journey, you slip up, you make mistakes, you fail. And those slip-ups and mistakes and failures are all opportunities to go, I can't do it, I'm such a loser, I'm a failure, whatever. But really, those slip-ups and mistakes and failures are opportunities to learn from. Because I think it was Napoleon Hill, wasn't it, that said, within every upset, challenge, or adversity, there is the seed of equal or greater good.
Yes.
But you've got to look for it. You've got to look for it. And the trouble is, people are so busy, and I did it myself, beating yourself up for the mistake, that you never, ever look for the seed, for the wisdom that's there.
Absolutely love it.
So, bring on the failures, bring on the slip-ups, and let's open them up and look what's there, because you can slide forwards faster because of the slip-up, rather than, go back into the behavior, which is so common. So, when people don't think they can recover, when they're living in the story that it's not possible, when they're living in the story that it's only, you've got to learn to manage it, when it gets tough, it's like, what's the point?
Yes.
I might as well just find a better way of doing it, hiding it, or okay. I've had some clients go, oh, Julie, it was just so much easier. I think it's better if I be really good for a few days, and then I just go back to the behavior for a day or two, and like that. And I'm like, no, that doesn't work. Otherwise, that's, there's certainly no status quo in an eating disorder. But you undermine your health and well-being. You physically, mentally, and emotionally. And continuing to do it is only going to send you into a weaker and weaker position, especially as we get older and older. And, something like now with the coronavirus, and, we need our immunity to be strong and robust, and not feeding yourself well diminishes that energy, that robustness and resilience. And you need to believe that. Everyone needs to believe that they can recover, because you can. You really, really can recover. I'm free, free. And I love food, me. I love cooking and I love eating, and, I go out a lot and I eat whatever I want. I find that, my body just kind of, we flow, and just like, can have whatever I want, and I can eat. Sometimes I eat too much, because guess what? I really, really like it. But I don't think, oh my God, I'm going on a diet tomorrow, or I'm going to throw this up. No, just throughout the week or the next few weeks, I don't know. I mean, I don't jump on and off scales. I don't even own a scale. I don't even know how much I weigh. But I can get into clothes from 20 odd years ago.
Excellent.
And the body shape has changed. Hey ho, rock and roll. That's life. But I'm still, still fit into, I'm still slim, and, I'm happy in my body. And I think, that is, being slim is a state of mind. I mean, there's clients I've had who like a more curvier frame than me, or have that type of body, and they're happy with that.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be, when I say slim, I'm not talking thin or anything. I'm talking really on, being the best body, being in your body, being happy with it, honoring it, feeding it well, because then it sort of everything gets sorted out, and your body, sometimes I get bloated, now and again, but it's not like, well, yeah, it was a nightmare before. And anyway, the thinner I was, I always thought, just need to, I'm not feeling good, I just need to get a bit thinner and then I'll be feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
Mad. I was trapped in this false perception. I was like in this bubble. I was trapped, and for a long time I was trapped in it. It didn't really matter what anybody said. I mean, I lost some work, believe it or not, for being too thin, early on.
Ah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I know. I don't know whether that happens nowadays, but yeah, I was going to go to one of my first trips, but I was in London and go to San Francisco for Miss Selfridge, but then they decided that I was too thin and they didn't have time to take all the clothes in.
Okay. God, yeah.
So my agent was not.
That.
My agent my agent at the time wasn't very happy about that, and said, "You got to put on some weight." And I was like, "God, no! I'm going to get fat."
I mean, I, for one, am so glad you have recovered and you are here and our paths have crossed.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're healthy and well now, Julie. So that's excellent. So what words of wisdom would you give anyone out there that is struggling with eating disorders right now?
Never give up. Number one, absolutely never give up, because you can recover. And like I said earlier, people's eating disorders present in different ways. So, it's why, although my website's called Bulimia Free, I might, if I was starting again now, I might actually call it something else, because I do get a lot of people coming to me that actually are purging anorexic. So that means they're underweight but throwing up. And bulimia is normal weight and I don't say overweight, but normal weight and above, who are throwing up. But so however an eating disorder presents, you can recover, and you have to believe you can. And I know it's hard to believe you can when you feel you can't. And like your daily experience may be telling you that you can't do it. But I tell you, you have power within you and you can recover.
Definitely.
You just need to find somebody like myself, and there's other people out there, is to look around, find someone that you relate to, that you like how they do their work, and get started on your recovery journey, because you cannot reach your potential with an eating disorder. And we all have so much potential within us. And, I wasted so many years looking down the toilet when I could have been, meeting different people, doing different things. Now, that wasn't my lot in life. I did what I did, and I'm here, and I'm, it's great. And maybe I had that to do this. I don't know. But, wherever you are, it doesn't matter what age you are, you're never too old to recover, because there's always life left. I mean, when I was like 15 or 16, I remember my mum, or I think I found out that she was 38 years old. And I was like, oh my God, she's so old, 1 foot in the grave, And now, I'm 65 this year, and I'm like, I'm still full of life, and I want to go on living. So it's like, I'm so glad that I got well, so I could be well now, do the things I love to do, and enjoy my life and not be ill. I mean, I have clients who tell me of friends they have, or someone in the family that, at my age, they've got pacemakers and this, that, and the other because of their eating disorders, because they still have them. And I'm like,
oh, wow,
that's not your vision. That's not your future if you choose to do differently. Because you can live with an eating disorder. You can go on for a long time. But what is the quality of life? It wasn't what I wanted for myself. And it's not what I want for my clients. And it's not what I'd want for anyone that's struggling or suffering, because life is so much fun. That doesn't mean it always goes great, because it doesn't. I haven't seen like everyone, have a few issues, not necessarily with myself, of course, you understand, but I have another business, a property business, and there's always something going wrong and stuff, and whatever. But when you're well fed and nourished, you can handle so much more with ease and joy, and obstacles. Well, they just become like a challenge, to let's do this, let's get that courage going.
Definitely. Oh, I love it.
Oh yeah. So never give up. And the thing is, and we all have power. We do have power within us. Everybody's born with it. We just forget it because of how we get sort of, how we go through our childhood and educated, and, you know, there's a sort of social system that we kind of go through, and it has us forget our power. It has us forget our strength and our courage and our love and so many things.
That's beautiful.
So
beautifully put.
That's my words of wisdom for anyone out there struggling. And, you know, even people that are struggling with diets and things, you do not have to diet to get what you want. Dieting probably won't get you there long. You know, it's going to, like, people yo-yo cycle in and out of, you know, diets and things like that. It's really working out what works for you, because you need to work with your body, because your body will tell you what it needs and wants. You know, your body has its own nutritionist inside, and you need to learn to listen to it, partner with your body, learn to understand its messages, and then eat in the way that it is telling you, not what some diet is telling you or somebody online. Because quite honestly, there's so many people online selling or what's it, promoting different ways of dieting. Yeah, well, that's another story.
Yes, we'll leave that there for now.
It's you know, it's working with your own body, not somebody else's.
So where can the listeners find you online? What's your website?
www.bulimiafree.com, or they can email me at julie@bulimiafree.com.
That's excellent. Well, thank you for sharing your incredible, courageous journey with us, Julie. And by doing so, you have helped so many others.
Thank you.
What's your definition of courage?
Well, I think, you know, courage is often seen as like doing something really big, you know, being able to break through something really big. But for me, and what's worked for me, is, you know, we're being courageous every day when we say yes. You know, when someone is struggling with something, and when we have a struggle, a challenge or something, we need to bring courage to it, and we do have courage. It just might not be apparent at the time. But, you know, when I look back, I can see that there was this incremental building up of courage all the time. But, you know, if we think of the definition of courage being something that it has to be really big, we overlook all the courageous little steps that we take that build up into something big, like building up a muscle. So, you know, there's that tool, for want of a better word, of, you know, write down 5 things you're grateful for at night. I thought it might be a good idea to write down 5 things where you were courageous in the day, like where you said yes when you really wanted to say no and hide or something. So you can kind of build up that muscle. So so that you bring forth the courage that is already within you, because it's not something that we really have to get to search. It's like all our resources, you know, it's within us. And you know, just, you have to recognize it. You have to start seeing it. And we're using it a lot. And we don't even know it. And then people go, oh, but I'm not courageous. I can't do it. Well, yes, you are. Yes, you are. So yeah, definition of courageous is the, you know, look for the little bits where, and it's like when you say yes to life, and you're scared, you know, when you feel a bit fearful of doing something, and you say yes. I remember years ago, a friend of mine invited me to, actually, we thought of going to America, like, I don't know, on a ranch. That's right. Yeah, on a ranch, and like rounding up the cattle and everything. Anyway, but she couldn't find that, but she found one in Ecuador riding through the Andes. And so she called, Julie, I found the thing we're going to go on. It's, you know, trek the Andes and da-di-da-di-da in Ecuador. And I was like, oh, but what if I fall off and break my back? I was like, no. Yes, I said, yes. I'm coming. So, you know, it's like those moments. I mean, it might not seem courageous, but yeah, we so often, habitually, any change tends to have us say no. You know, from an evolutionary standpoint, our brain will go, no, we don't know what that is. We're not going there. And so it's saying, yeah, that's where I want to go. My definition of courage. With one stipulation is that the thing you're going to do must not hurt you or anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I was saying yes to my eating disorder all the time. when I was challenged by it, when I was wanting to give up, sort of giving in, saying yes to it, not and no to freedom. So, yeah. So, when I say saying yes, it's saying yes to the thing that is good, that's going to, not harm you or anyone else.